interesting experience and good experience. Let me just, first of all, review the day. We have to leave here about 11:15 to get down to the Catholic Mass. And so I think we should be able to do what we need to do here in that amount of time. At 4 o'clock, we're going to come back here, and Brother Som, he's the one that helped bring the food this morning. He's a notorious guy that when they first fenced off Gurumbi Rock with razor wire, would every day go out and swim from the port and all the way out to Gurumbi and try to get on the rocks, and would oftentimes be attacked by the Coast Guard and beaten up in the water. So really incredible guy. So he's going to talk to us at 4, and then at 7:30, the Vice Mayor, Mr. Go, again here, will talk to us. So, but anyway, so that's the schedule for today. Sung Hee, I think, is going to drop by and we'll discuss the plan for the whole week, what she's got lined up for us in other parts. So we'll skip that for now. But I think we ought to go around now and do some introductions. Your name, where you're from, and a bit about yourself, and then also a bit about why you came on this trip, why you felt inclined to come. Okay? So you want to go first?
Okay, I'm Ellen. I'm a longtime activist, and I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, Tarek poached me from WRL into VFP.
Poached.
And that's how WRL looked at it. So, and I with Tarek put out Peace in Our Times, the newest VFP newspaper. And I'm here because I've been following Bruce's writings about this place and hearing Bruce talk about this place, and I feel like it's critically important both to support the movement over here and also for the energy and wisdom that we can gain from here to take back to reinvigorate the movement in our country and VFP in particular.
And I'm Ken Mayers, and I think the simplest way of saying why I'm here is because I can be. And it's a real luxury for me to be able to be here and to be here with a couple of members of my closest family. And I too, of course, have been following Bruce's terrific work. But honestly, the thing that got me to come on this trip was the fact that it included Okinawa, because I spent almost, in 2 different tours, almost 4 years on Okinawa. Both my kids were born on Okinawa. I loved being there. I was horrified. I spent 6 months actually stationed up at Hanoka, where of course the new airstrip is being built. And it's a gorgeous sight. And I get up every morning and look out at the bay and say, what a treat it is to be stationed here. And when I heard they were building this, starting to fill in the bay there to build this airstrip, I was so horrified. This was a couple of years ago. I said, if we ever get a trip to Okinawa, I'm going to go. Well, I get the bonus of coming here first.
And well, my name is Mike. Mike Haynes. I'm from the San Diego chapter, and originally from Georgia. So we got 3 people from Georgia here.
Wow.
And like you said, I'm here because I can be here, and I appreciate you, Tarak, and really pushing for the 9/11 vets to get here. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm filling in for someone else who couldn't make the trip, and when the opportunity came about, I said, I'm all in. My personal experiences with, I joined the Marine Corps at 18, and my first duty station was Okinawa, Japan. That was 20 years ago, back in '95. I was 19 years old. And I remember the rape stuff happening there. That was a big issue. I remember all the military bases, particularly Marine Corps bases. Very young, I didn't understand. So I understand the mindset of, these younger guys and gals of supporting, the establishment, not knowing really what they're supporting. So after my experiences in Iraq, I was Force Reconnaissance Marine, the most senior platoon in the Marine Corps, and we had a lot of action in Iraq, and that really kind of opened my eyes a lot. And so now having more of an understanding of the American imperialism and how, we pretty much extract resources in the name of corporate globalism, it's a very honor, and actually, truthfully, this is a form of post-traumatic growth for me to be a part of this group. So I appreciate all of you of what you're doing, and it's very empowering. So thank you.
My name is William Griffin. You can just call me Will or William. It doesn't really matter. I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. I served from 2004 to 2010. I essentially became an activist around 2011. I actually met Mike through different types of activism, through the Zeitgeist movement and Venus Project work. I'm also half Korean. I went to middle school and high school in Georgia, and my parents are still in Georgia, but I was born in West Germany in the 80s, and then for 3 years there, and then after that I came to South Korea, and I lived in South Korea for 4 years, right outside of Camp Humphreys where my dad was stationed. And I essentially grew up in the propaganda bubble on the other side, my parents, my dad did 22 years, then my mom was South Korean, she served in the U.S. Army for 5 years. So when I got out, I went to college, and I opened my mind. I essentially had a lot of time, and it opened my mind up. And one specific incident was having a professor who was going to Oxford pre-Iraq, and the British and American government stole his PhD dissertation and used it as military intelligence to invade Iraq. And he tells all the students about this, and I was completely disillusioned. And I started doing my research, and it kind of got me linked up with VFP, and I love the work that Veterans for Peace is doing. And then, Barry Ladendorf sent me an email, hey, they're going out to Okinawa and South Korea. I said, what do you think about this? I absolutely want to go. I absolutely want to go. And I have a huge connection to the East, being half Korean and living here as a child, and also being, a Westerner from America, being raised. So I feel like there's a link there. And I thought I could try to benefit from this and also try to help contribute to this as being a half Korean. But the work here, the Asia Pivot, I was in college studying U.S. foreign policy when they announced the Asia Pivot, and then now I had the opportunity to actually come and join with the VFP. I thought it was just awesome. I just had to do it, and I'm ready to do some work.
Okay, I'm Russell. I live in Maine, and my activist work for the last 15 years has been around the Navy sonar issue and how that's impacting marine life. What's happening here in Jeju is really just an extension of that mindset of what am I trying to say? It's an extension of that feeling that the militarism. Sorry, I'm having trouble.
It's all right.
Take your time.
I think what's happening here to the people and what they're up against with the base is very much what's happening to the life in the oceans. I mean, really, they're the whales and dolphins. The people here are the whales and dolphins. It's the same. So I've been following what's been happening here for a number of years through Bruce, and I really never thought I would be able to be here, but I'm so happy to be here. And I appreciate it's through Bruce and Tarek who invited me to be here. I'm not a veteran, I'm an associate member, but I feel very honored to be here, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, my name is Dan Shea. I'm with VFP Chapter 72. I'm here because Tarek sent me an invite, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of the people I had in Portland, not only veterans, but people through a GoFundMe project that I was able to raise money. So it showed that people out there and various areas around the country really care about these issues. For me, I only came to Okinawa in 1968 on my way to Vietnam. It was a stopping point as a U.S. Marine, and I remember even at that time it was important. Memories come back up. There was a race riot at that time, and I'm always curious about what happened in the United States that may have sparked that at that particular moment. We often forget that a lot of veterans were black and Latino, and they were protesting in the streets against the war, from Muhammad Ali refusing to go, and if we compare those things to today, the Black Lives Matter movement is so important, and one of our missions is, for Veterans for Peace, is peace at home and peace abroad. Well, you got to live on both sides of the end. You got to go both places to really see what's going on. And I think those that are able to go at least can take what information they have back home to the people that aren't able to go. So for me, it's an educational thing. It's a part of the memory of that experience of war, which I came to reject. And I find this morning's prayer and yesterday people protesting at the gate of the U.S. Naval Base here, which carved its way into this island through its coral in this historic environmental site. And like Russell said, we're destroying the oceans and the people that live along the oceans. And I think that's very important for us as Veterans for Peace to stand up against the U.S. military and other countries that are supporting them in building these bases around the country. Thank you.
My name is Doug, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be with you all. Moved by this short snapshots I'm getting of each of you. Humbled by the company I'm keeping here, to include the people of Carrington Village. I'm a Naval Academy graduate and transferred into the Air Force, graduated from the Academy. And, wasn't until the late 80s that I began to really think about things, to be somewhat of a critical thinker. I had the opportunity I joined VFP in the early 90s, but hadn't really become a committed activist until the occasion on which I met Chuck Searcy on a bicycle ride in Vietnam from Hanoi to Saigon. It took place in 1998. It was sponsored by an organization called World Team Sports. Team, in their usage, stands for The Exceptional Athlete Matters, and they bring together disabled and able-bodied athletes to do other remarkable things. And that particular event was the Vietnam Challenge, a bike ride between those two cities. It was comprised of I think there were probably about 100 people in our group, to include many Vietnamese, former mortal enemies, and most of the participants were disabled veterans who had been grievously wounded in the Vietnam War. So it was really a transformative experience, as a chance to really walk in the other's shoes, really relate to the history of the Vietnamese people, get to know them as individuals. It had a profound impact on me for sure, and I think on most of the participants in that event. So following that, I became more and more intrigued by the impact of the U.S. military around the world, and particularly engaged in learning about the impacts of military bases around the world. And my brother and I began working on a film that unfortunately probably will never come to pass, but we did a lot of work through which we met and interviewed people like Noam Chomsky and Andrew Vasevich and Dennis Kucinich, Joseph Gerson, a number of others. And I subsequently had the opportunity to return to a place at which I had been stationed in 1964, and that was Thule Air Base, where I had learned the people of that area had been displaced to make way for Thule Air Base in 1954, I think it was. And that story is incredibly moving. It's one of the many terrible nightmares and catastrophic experiences that the U.S. imposed on indigenous peoples around the world. So, subsequent to that, I had a chance to go to London and stand with people of Chagos, of the Chagosian archipelago, where Diego Garcia is now located, people who have been evicted from that island to make way for that military base. I stood with and interviewed people from the Marshall Islands, of course, have been around our atomic bomb testing. Along the way, learned about the people of Jeju and Kangjong Village, and through Bruce and our chapter in Maine, had the opportunity to come here in 2013, I think it was, and stand with these people then. Got to know Sung Hee and a number of the other leaders here, and as we are all being presently profoundly moved by these people. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to return once again to stand with them. It's incredibly moving, isn't it, to be out there with them? That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Sticking with it.
I do have a problem I need to share with anyone here who is a computer expert. I'm having a problem with my email program, so if any of you will give me a hand, that'd be great. Well,
I'm not an expert, but I could try.
great. Thanks.
My name's Stan Levin. I'm a Korean War veteran. I spent 2 winters in the very far northern latitudes of North Korea in an operation called Operation Strangle by the United Nations. And I was on a very small boat, not much bigger than this room. We carried 4 small assault boats, wooden. We had, at one time or another, commandos from many different United Nations countries, including South Korean commandos at one time. And the operation was designed to slow down or halt the transportation of Chinese soldiers and material by way of a railroad that ran down the beach all the way from China down to South Korea. And our object was to go in at night with a small contingent of Marines and put the wooden boat up on the beach and put the ramp down and stay there. And the commandos would leave the boat and run up the beach 50, 60 yards, I guess, plant dynamite in the railroad tracks. And if we were lucky, some nights they weren't even known to be there until the first explosion. And then things became 4th of July on the beach. We could not leave because we had the ramp down on the sand and we were waiting for the guys to come back, which they did haul ass very quickly. And they got aboard. We took them back to the ship, which was anchored 6 miles offshore. And when day came, we could see with binoculars that the natives were rebuilding the railroad tracks. I was in 14 of those raids. I did not realize really who I was or what I was. I don't think I was particularly frightened. My being there was just a long series of accidents, beginning with an accident of my enlistment. I was sent to San Diego for basic training, the first group since World War II to do that. I was supposed to go to Great Lakes, but I couldn't pack fast enough. So I went to training at the Naval Training Center, had a little showing off incident there where I broke my jaw in a couple places and broke my skull with my mandibles, and put me in a naval hospital briefly where an education officer came by and arranged for my GED, missing a year and a half of high school. And I did not become an activist until 4 or 5 years ago, an advocate, activist. I'm now addicted to activism, and I'm available to almost anybody, almost any time, to do almost anything. And I'm enjoying what's left of my life. There's 14 years left. That's all I'm saying.
14 years only, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm hitting 100
If you
and then
think,
you're done?
if you think I can't walk right now, wait till you see me when I'm 100.
As long as you still got the great sense of humor.
Oh, that's what you call.
My name's Tarak. You all know me, and I tell you the truth, I'm totally sort of humbled, almost beyond the point where I can say anything about myself after listening to you guys. I mean, I have enormous respect and appreciation for each one of you, and I'm so grateful to be in this group and that you were all here. A little bit about myself. Okay, I spent 4 years close to 4 years in the U.S. Army, most of it in the 101st Airborne Division. Luckily, back before the war really got started in Vietnam, I got discharged. Some of that time was in the stockade, and that's really when my the spirit of resistance started to blossom or get opened inside of me. It wasn't too long after getting out of the military that I realized what this country was doing. Previous to going in the military, I'd been very patriotic. I thought it's the greatest country in the world, blah, blah, blah. I believed in all the movies that I saw about the military, and it was a big illusion that was burst once I was in there, you know. And after getting out, I started to realize what this country was doing, and that realization has increased. And I realized that what I had to do on earth was to resist it as much as I could, and to be a part of something different. And not only to be a part of something different, but to be a part of stopping this destruction that this system, that this way of life, our Western way of life, is perpetrating on the rest of the world. And I'm so proud of Veterans for Peace because we've adopted this policy of peace at home, peace abroad. So we've connected. That was the first real direct connection that we made internationally, that it's all one struggle. And we realized that we have to join together in this one struggle. And that's what we're doing here. This is part of what we're doing here, is to solidify these connections, you know, to make the connections and to be part of them and to understand that their struggle here in Gangjang and on Jeju Island is our struggle. And the struggle in Okinawa is directly our struggle. We're not coming just to support or to be part of it, but this is our struggle because we're human beings. And we're part of this planet, and we're trying to save this planet, basically. And this base on Jeju Island is an assault, a direct assault on this planet. On the ocean life, I don't want to live in a place in a world where there are no whales or porpoises, and I've said this before. I don't want to live there, you know, or elephants or other animals like that. So we're fighting, we're giving everything, and you guys are here giving everything you have to protect this planet. And stopping war and ending militarism is a huge part of protecting this planet, because one of the most dangerous elements, as we all know, to the planet is the war-making machine. It's the Pentagon and other aspects of militarization. So these people are fighting it, and I'm getting tremendous inspiration and energy from seeing their ongoing and obviously sustainable, they have created a sustainable struggle here, which is very important. It's not just, okay, let's do one action, let's do this, and let's do another. No, but it continues, and it's powerful. I mean, you can all feel the power that they've created, that Father Moon and the rest of them, and these women are incredible out there. Whoa. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are incredible people. So the power that we are feeling and absorbing, I'm hoping that we will be able to communicate when we get back home to Veterans for Peace. And I just want to say, I love all of you, like you're my family, and you are. But I am so...
We love you too.
What he wants to say is he is really thrilled that the two of you are here.
Yes.
He thinks it is just so important to bring your wisdom and energy and freshness and to hand on to you this movement, because unless we have you people on board, as he would say,
It's the brains of Tara, right there speaking. I just want to say that it is so vitally important for the life of Veterans for Peace. And Veterans for Peace is spreading internationally. We have a tremendous impact, starting to have a tremendous impact as a voice, a veteran's voice. And Smedley Butler said it years ago, the old Marine general, you know, how important that voice was, you know, to speak out. We're starting to speak out and we're spreading internationally. And you guys are the seed. I don't want to put too much weight on you, you know, but no, really, to me, you represent the seed of this. You know, the seeds going back, and other young vets are going to be inspired, and they're going to be inspired to take part, not to just watch, what these people are doing, but to take part, to organize, to spread the whole thing. So I'm very grateful to you guys for being here, and I'm very grateful to all of you.
And we to you, Tara.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerard.
I'm Chuck Searcy, and I'm here on this leg of my life's journey. I'm here from Vietnam, but I'm an old Georgia boy also. But I'm here to learn. I've been involved in trying to deal with the consequences of our war in Vietnam for the past 20 years, trying to help to recover from that disaster and assist the Vietnamese people in returning to some normalcy in it. So it's been a long process and it continues. And the cleanup of the damage that we did there is a microcosm of the cleanup that needs to be done, and in some respects is being done around the world in places where we Americans have been involved in past decades with such catastrophic consequences. And as the cleanup goes on, we also have to undertake the best efforts we can to prevent those situations from occurring again. And right here we're seeing the stupidity of the militaristic policies that we've been following for so many decades, and the terrible losses being incurred by the local people here, and the habitat, the environment. All of those consequences are just kind of sinful. I mean, it's just we need to prevent them if possible, so that we don't have to engage in future cleanups. And how do we do that? It's a terrible challenge, a difficult challenge, and I've already, in the few hours I've been here, I've been inspired by people in Jeju, and I've been inspired by you guys already that we just met, briefly. So I hope I can learn from this experience and try to be a small part of efforts to prevent damage that would not have to be cleaned up by future generations. I'm not sure we'll come up with any great solutions, but I have confidence that we'll come up with some steps that can be taken and that we need to take. And I'm very proud to be part of the effort, and I'm humbled by the effort and by the contributions that you guys have already been making and continue to make. And hopefully we'll all benefit from this experience and can make the world a better place ultimately.
My name is Bruce Gagnon. I live in Bath, Maine, and a member of Veterans for Peace for over 20 years, first in Florida and then in Maine. I work for an organization called the Global Network Against Weapons and Nuclear Power in Space. I was one of the founders 23 years ago, trying to prevent the arms race from moving into space. I want to tell you a story about how the first time I ever heard of Jeju, I'd never heard of it before. Sun Hee is on our board. She used to live in New York. She was an artist. She found out about the Global Network, started coming to our annual meetings at different places all the time. And then she moved back to Korea, and she started getting involved in things. And one day I got an email from her saying, there's gonna be a protest on Jeju Island against a Navy base that they wanna build. And they're gonna have a protest next weekend. And I'm gonna go, she said. And so I said, oh, that's interesting, because we're having a protest in Bath at the next christening of another Aegis destroyer outfitted with missile defense systems that are part of the whole US First Strike Attack space attack program. And so that was, and then I discovered that, I don't know if you can see this picture over here, but this is an Aegis destroyer right here. This is a steel cutout they did with Tiger Island in the background through the, and so I discovered that these fucking ships from maybe my community coming here. So for that day at the christening, I announced that there was this protest simultaneously in some place called Jeju Island. I didn't even know where the hell it was on the map. I had to go look for it. But anyway, that's how it all got started. And then Sung Hee moved here, and it's been dragging us into it ever since.